Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the custodians of the land on which we record. For me, it's the Gadigal People of the Eora Nation.
And for me, it's the Rachael people of the Eora Nation.
I know you're gonna dig this.
It's like I've been given an extra sprinkle of something.
You got layers.
Yeah, I got layers.
I was just thinking, I'm like, we're just such beautiful storytellers.
You're making a lot of sense today, girl. No, I'm done.
Let's jump into it, honest to God.
If you're listening, welcome to 2025 First Things First. We're back. Slacker than ever. Okay,
guys, we're
let's go.
skipping the intro. Let's jump into it. Maddie, 2025. The fuck?
2025. Do you remember at the end of last year, we said 2025 is the year to thrive?
We did.
Is that still the vibe?
I feel like it's still the vibe. The vibes are high. I feel
the
like
vibes are high.
I'm entering another decade of my life. I'm 30 now. Holy shit.
30. What does it feel like?
Feels bloody good. I'm being honest. Like, I don't feel 30. Like, if age was a number, I definitely wouldn't feel 30. I'd feel
How
in
old
my
do you feel?
in my early 20s. Honestly.
Okay.
Just more mature.
Okay.
Like, I would say. But a little bit less.
You would say.
Yeah, a bit still unhinged, as we all know.
I'm loving that. But look, you've had such a great holiday. You've been off around the world, jet setting here and there. You've been to LA, you've been to New York City.
Oh my God.
You've been getting around. How was it?
You know what? It was probably the best trip that I've done. And I did it solo. And I think that's the best thing about entering this new decade is I do feel like I'm only just starting living my life. But I have the maturity and I also have the financial, I guess, not freedom, but
She's rich. What you're trying to say is I'm rich and I can travel wherever I want in the world.
No, I'm not saying that at all. Fuck, I wish I had more money, but
As the cost of living crisis is affecting us all, Brooke Blurton is, I've got enough money to travel anywhere, anytime I like.
Well, no, I think the thing is, right, I just have no attachment other than the responsibility of having a dog. I don't have anything keeping me anywhere. Obviously, the podcast work.
Yeah.
Yes, that keeps the wheels turning. But I feel like I'm in a place where I could honestly just sell and pack up everything and just go wherever the fuck I want. And I think that would be a great, I'd make do and I would survive. But
where would that destination be?
Oh my God, New York
New York City. Okay. So explain to us what it was like being in New York City for the first time. I haven't been, by the way, so sell it to me.
Okay, so to give context though, my mum loved New York and I didn't really know this until I started putting pieces together of little things that she used to say, the music she used to listen to, and the things that she used to reference. And it's crazy. My memory is so insane. Sometimes, I remember the most craziest moments of my life. And sometimes I wish that I didn't.
I'm the opposite. I've blocked out so much. It's like I don't even have a memory bank. Honestly.
Of your childhood or more your teenage years or
all of
what?
it. It's gone. People constantly remind me of things that have happened, and I'm like, did that actually happen? When did that happen? What age was I? I think
you need to do. I mean this in respectfully, but I think you need to do therapy, and I think you need to do CBT, and I think you need to do visualization.
What's CBT? Is that the
CBT
drug?
is it's cognitive behavioral therapy. It's
CBD. I was thinking
CBT.
CBT.
Oh, you're thinking marijuana.
Yeah, I was like, should I get high and reminisce? No. Okay. Well, yeah, I probably do. I mean, I'm starting therapy again this week, actually. So,
congrats.
Which is good. I did a lot of therapy last year, remember, but we didn't do much CBD.
You just do CBD and go and get CBT.
But it's
and then you just CBF because you just get the fuck
CBF,
out of there.
Yeah. Got the munchies, CBF. No, but yeah, that's a good point. I probably should. There's a lot to unpack, but then I get scared of opening Pandora's box.
It's not Pandora's box, though. You have to sometimes, I don't know, Maddie. It's kind of opening another pathway. You might go down a route that maybe feel uncomfortable, but uncomfortableness is good for you.
Totally.
I think so. And I'm not saying this as in you should do therapy, but I personally think you would benefit from doing some visualizations where you can get some of those memories back. Because sometimes you suppress, not you in particular, just people in general, right?
Yep.
We can suppress things and we can push it down so far that we don't know it exists. And we wonder why we might have a knee-jerk reaction to something and we're like, oh, wonder what that was about. Like, why did I act like that? Sometimes it can come down to suppressed trauma. And
interestingly enough, when you say like a knee-jerk reaction,
Yeah.
I have had those moments where a memory will come into my mind and it will remind me of a certain traumatic experience.
Yeah.
But as you know, I'm the type of person that is like, okay, quickly move on.
Yes.
Like I don't want to sit with that. And I think the work is about sitting with it, right? And actually allowing it to come fully to you and being able to sort of process it and not just shut it down.
Agreed. I mean, you know, without the bad days, you can't have the good days. And I think like there's a balance. And sometimes you do really have to sit in your shit. I always say this. I've advocated it since we started this fucking podcast.
I've always told people to sit in their shit.
Sit in your shit. That's the title of this episode. No, I just think like without feeling things and like nutting it out, how do you know you're actually moving through it? Like, I fully agree with you in some moments where I'm like, nah, I do not want to deal with that today. And that is so fine. And I'm like so for that. But at the same time, I know that that's just going to come back and it's going to bite me even worse. Like, it is going to come full circle and I'm not going to enjoy the second time it comes around. And I think, you know what, just cop it now and then deal with it later.
Do you feel a release when you do it? Like, as in, when you sit with something, you sit in your shit, and then do you feel like you've processed it, or is it like a long time over and over moment?
Look, I had these moments when I was in New York, right? And I was feeling like homesick or feeling a bit like, oh, do I want to come home? Like, or early. And I was like, no, this is just me feeling uncomfortable. Okay. And instead of, you know, my knee-jerk reaction sometimes with that is to just, you know, be irrational and like jump on a plane and come back home, and then I'll be like, I'll regret it, right? Because I didn't stay there and I didn't give it the time. Yep. And I mean, I had this moment once. I was walking a few blocks and I just kept walking, found this busker, and I just sat and I like stood there and I watched him just like with a bunch of people, and I just started crying. Oh, wow. And I felt so uncomfortable because I was in public and I thought, fuck, I'm going to be like that embarrassing weirdo person that's crying in the middle of the street at this busker. But I just felt this rush of like gratitude. It was so weird. I felt so grateful and so connected to this. Is just a young kid. He's African-American and he was playing country music, which is so crazy. Like normally, you know, rap, I've just been hearing rap music the whole time, but he was playing country music. He was also playing the guitar, singing, and then playing like the trombone. It was insane. Wow. And I just had this moment of gratitude where I was like, I am alone in a city, like a foreign place. I felt so uncomfortable before, but I was able to move past it, sit in it a little bit, get my feelings out, and then move past it. And then all of a sudden I felt a massive wave of gratitude. And I think that's what happens when you sit in it a little bit. It's a bit shitty. It's a bit grubby. No one wants to sit in the trenches and like dig their way throughout. But then there's another perspective. And I was like, oh my God, I got here. I jumped on a plane, didn't really know anyone, flew to New York, made my 30th dreams come true, and I'm standing here in a busker crying in the middle of the street. It sounds a bit odd, but like I sat in my shit for a little bit. That was one example of when sometimes you just need to ride the wave of emotion, sit in it, feel it, and then, you know, like come out of it. You're not going to be in it forever.
I love that like visualization. I think also the like word gratitude is something that I wrote on my mirror at home. Lovely. And I walk past it every day. And I think that when you get to a sense of gratitude, there is like this beautiful feeling. I don't know, you're just able to understand how far you've come from something, or like I've been going back over my career. So I've been creating like a website, and you inspired me to do this, by the way. Do you remember when we sat down and you said to me that
I saw this?
You were creating a website? I was like,
I'm still doing it,
It takes it does take a long time.
Credit to you. Yeah, it does.
I've been, you know, doing it over the holiday break, and just being able to go back over my career and be like, oh, okay, there's things that I forgot. There are things that like I was able to tick off really at the start of my career too, that I feel so proud of. And I just had this sense of gratitude, like, yeah, I really fucking did this, and I did this on my
Oh
own.
my God,
like,
yes.
I didn't get much help to get to this position. So, I mean, there are people along the way who obviously you lean on and help
Yeah, but you did that. Like,
Yeah,
you're the one here
it's your
now
choice.
making a website because you want to reflect on the things that you did. Like, yeah, people help you. Like, the thing is, people forget that you need other people in this world to get where you're going.
And especially what I've realized is, and I want to, to make this clear to our listeners, if you're, in an environment or if you're at home, because I can speak from my own point of view. When I was home in a regional town, in a toxic environment, I was growing up in a level of poverty that I really didn't understand and really wanted out of. Look for the hands that are outside of those environments, because a lot of the time the people who are in those environments are with you, they don't know the way out. So if you can grab onto someone on the outside of that box who has different experience, a different level of worldview, grab onto them and allow them to help you find your way out. And I think that those things over the holiday period for me have become really clear, like understanding how important environment is.
Or the people that you're exposed to. And I would really love to talk about something that's really quite, like personal, on this subject. So over the years that we've had this podcast, I've been so grateful to have you, talking about gratitude. Like, I don't think anyone could be any more perfect as a co-host. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, in my eyes, in terms of our experience and our lived experience and our where we're going and our aspirations. Like, I feel like we're often, sometimes on the same path, sometimes, we both go our separate things and then we kind of come back. And I think that's the best thing. But the people that I've been exposed to through you and through the podcast has been amazing. And I'm so looking forward to 2025. Yeah. But I wanted to talk about going back to New York and a little moment that I had. So a couple of months ago, I posted this video on Instagram where I had received an email from a fellow follower of ours, and her name's Hannah. Hannah had said that she'd come across my TED Talk, and it pretty much saved her life. She was going through a really tough time, and she was planning on, trigger warning, taking her life. And she watched my video and it changed her whole perspective, and it gives me goosebumps. But I broke down reading this email because I felt, one, I just felt so bad that she was feeling that low in her life. Like, I've been there multiple times and I know how it can be. And then I'm very grateful for the people that have changed my life, and I wrote about them in Big Love, and I'm always grateful for the people that I do have now that kind of keep me at bay. But I had no idea that I was going to meet her at all in my life. Like, she lives in the States and she lives in Ohio, and I was in New York, and she flew to New York to meet me and have coffee with me. And I was like, I would never miss out on an opportunity to speak to someone who I've had an impact that directly with. Like, I just felt, not that I felt responsible in any way, I just felt like for her to reach out and send that message, I was like, I need to meet her, and I need to
That's beautiful.
And it was like the most beautiful, like, we spoke for like 3 hours. We had coffee and like a muffin together, and we just chatted, and it's so crazy. Like, we live on different parts of the world, and she flew from Ohio to New York City to like actually catch me whilst I was in the States, which is like 3-hour flight, by the way.
Wow.
And I just thought, that's really special that people put in that effort and feel that connected to us internationally as well, like not just in Australia. And I just thought, wow, if we're having an impact for like one person, like how many other people are out there like listening to our podcast and feeling the same. So I wanted to share that, and I'm always very grateful for Hannah because I think
I didn't even know, I didn't even know that you ended up catching up.
Well,
like,
yeah. Well,
can I just ask, how the bloody hell did you miss telling me that?
Well, it's not like I didn't want to share it. I just think like for me, like that was a really special moment, and I kind of just wanted to like, I guess, keep it for myself. And I think for me and Hannah, like she bought me like a little bracelet, and it's got like a heart inside her heart, and she has like a matching one. And I just thought like that was just so sentimental, and she knew how sentimental I am because she's got to know me over the podcast over the years. I think generally people actually connect with us, Matty, like truly connect with us and know our personality and see themselves in us and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think you're so much better at understanding that than I am. I think that there's been moments across the years where you will see me sort of go into my shell a bit when there's people around who sort of know us. And I think that, like, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I feel like I don't deserve the recognition or somebody being so complimentary or somebody telling me how much they enjoy the pod or like us. So I sort of like try and dodge the conversation. And for me, I sort of have this internal confliction that is like, oh, I don't know if I can handle that.
Tall poppy syndrome is so prevalent and people
In Australia,
don't, yeah, and people don't really care about your success. I had people who I met in the US that knew that you and I had won a podcast award and made it very known to the group of people that I just met that we had won an award.
Wow.
And this is in the US.
There's a culture in Australia that doesn't like to give people their flowers. And I think that in our industry, even when you go and do the things that they said you couldn't, and even when you tick off all these like achievements, it's still hard for even the people who are sometimes even on your team to back you. Not our team, not the pod. For instance, when we won the Australian Champion Award for the podcast, right, we should have been able to amplify that achievement because we're, two First Nations people pushing for positive representation in media. That's our goal. If we win a big award like that and then don't get amplified because of certain gatekeepers in the industry, I think that is a real issue as to why there isn't much positive representation of our people.
I agree. I love your honesty around that, and I completely agree with you.
And it comes from traditional views and gatekeepers.
But I think it's a systemic thing.
Yeah,
it's a higher like it's the people above, above all this.
But it doesn't take much for, if you're a Caucasian person in the media to be amplified and to get every piece of publicity possible, it'll happen. And the caucasity pisses me off.
Oh my God, I could rant about that for days because I think like when I realised the Australian Open is in Melbourne at the moment and I have really noticed that it's very pretentious and it's very white. And I think like a few people that I know in the industry, like Ketch, shout out to my girl Ketch, she's calling it out. She's making literal TikToks being like, I'm the only black person at this one event.
Totally. And you know what? That has been asked for so long.
How fucked as well.
It has been asked for so long.
But in the US, everywhere that I turned, they're on an ad.
They don't care if you're black, if you're Latino.
100%.
What they care about is if you're great.
If you're good.
If you're talented, you will make an impact. They don't give a fuck if you're black or white
I took
or
photos
brown or
of
Asian.
all the ads. Yeah. I honestly, all the ads were like beautiful, like black people, and I was like, oh my God, like,
and I
this
know
is
my position,
my place, even though the US sucks.
I know my position in the media and why I have my platforms, and it is to push that barrier. It is to make sure that people are having conversations about positive representation. And if I have to do it by having these rants or being really honest about the industry, I will. And let me be honest about this. As soon as I start telling people how I truly feel about the media landscape, I will be labelled as an angry black man. It's not about me. It's about our community. It's about ensuring that if I have a platform and a position in the media, that I'm trying to really push the narrative that there isn't enough diverse voices, especially in radio. The amount of shows that I saw getting announced across the networks, every single duo, every single trio I saw were all white people.
I know.
And unfortunately, we had an opportunity. You have an opportunity every year to bring a diverse view or an opinion or a person from a different community into the fold in commercial radio Australia, and it doesn't happen year after year. No. So that needs to change.
My big question is to that is like, one, who's making these decisions? Sometimes there's a lot
I'm not
of
saying these people aren't talented, and I'm not saying that everyone that is on these shows aren't deserving. What
No,
I'm saying is
they're obviously
that
good at their
needs-
jobs, yes.
They've probably done the rounds. They've done all the circuits, the regional circuits. They probably, pushed their way to the top and had to fight for their opportunities as well. I'm not denying them of that. What I'm saying, though, is that if every single person at the top represents a certain part of the community, it is a real lack of opportunity to hear of like diverse opinions and experiences from other communities. And I think that that's like something that is blindly obvious to me in Australian commercial radio.
Yeah.
Like it is so obvious that it's so whitewashed and it needs to change.
As soon as I got back into Australia, like it was like an immediate distinction. Like I'm not even being exaggerative, and I know that we're, on this topic. So, but it was an immediate straight away, like a distinction. You could just see the public, the general public of the diversity that we have here is just like, it's just, I'm just going to say,
and you know what?
It's just and I'm not against my white people.
No.
I love my people, but
what I'm saying is also that the attempt to dangle carrots in front of people's faces and be like, well, if we give you this opportunity, will you shut up? That's never going to happen for me. That is never going to happen. So even if I get an opportunity and I'm going to be brought into the fold of a show or a network that are elevating me as a person, I will still continuously push for the rest of the community. This isn't about me.
no, I know you will. And I know that, you'll go down. Still.
I'll go down, girl. They're going to be taking me down. No, but I'm just frustrated, as you can hear, and it's 2025, and I just wanted,
I get it.
I wanted to see something different. I wanted to believe that the industry is willing to change when it comes to representation. And I think that because of the current political climate, we are seeing a shift in progress, and we're seeing we have to be vigilant when it comes to what we're fighting for, and we have to continue to fight for progress, because as soon as the powers in the world of the Western world shift, like for instance the Trump whole fucking ordeal, we see a trickle-down effect.
Yeah,
and I feel like
because we're like suckling off them.
Well,
if
the
anything.
thing is,
Oh my God.
no, but honestly, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of the future when it comes to what I'm seeing when it, people's views and really extreme, divisive language that's being used currently. So what that says is it gives people permission not to change, not to move forward, actually go backwards. And so I'm worried about that in this country. And so we're going to have to continue to use our platform, try and get the word
I think
out
we're
there.
just gonna have to we would love to see more young people in those political leaders. We need more like young First Nations people to be leading, and like having those voices, which
and
you're a
from
great voice in that sense.
different communities as well,
Exactly.
like a diverse range of young voices. But the scary thing is that the young demographic are starting to catch on to what these older extremist views are, and they feel like they have permission to side with them.
Yeah.
And that's scary for me because, as you can see in the data, 60%
No,
of people,
I know.
even just when it comes to Australia Day of young people, 6%
I
increase.
know, in 12 months, which is
Yeah.
crazy. No, and I understand that. But I think we need to keep challenging our young people to be like more, critical thinkers and kind of instilling still those values that are important to community, but also, just being a good person ethically and morally. Like I think comes sometimes down to that. Like if you're a good person, you'll want to do good. And I think we need to give our young people a bit more credit for what they're due. They're really smart, and I think they're adapting to a lot of things at the moment. Social media is a part of their world. Our Gen Alpha is just
They're very moldable,
Well, yeah, well, they're just so easily influenced, but I think we need to make sure that influence is positive, and I think we need to make sure that influence is doing good, and they understand that reciprocal relationship of like being good, doing good, and and then I guess just make sure that we're actually nourishing and supporting our young leaders. I would also like to, if you guys listen to this episode and you want to have an input or you have an opinion on, I guess, like Jan 26, which will be coming up very soon.
Yes.
Maybe just send us a voice note or what you think. Like, I feel like that's
and we're
really
open to hearing many different views.
We are.
We're not closed off. We might think a certain way and might have certain strong feelings about the date, but we are open to hearing why you may not agree with our views.
Yeah, exactly. We're open to that. All right. Well, thanks so much, guys. And we unpacked a lot in that episode, and we're so very, very grateful. I feel like the theme has been gratitude, and I guess using your voice is the themes that I would say.
Yeah. And what about what we started with? 2025.
2025.
Is the year to thrive.
Exactly. And we are in our thrive era. We hope that you are as well. But yeah, and hopefully we'll see you guys next episode.
If you want us to cover anything on the pod, you can reach out via our socials. Brooke's handle is @Brooke.Blurton. Mine is @It'sMattyMills. And you can follow the pod over at Nova Podcast Official. All right, you mob.
See you next week.
Catch ya.
Bye.